as well as direction. I'm joking about it because I was always embarrassed to come to Rotary till I had those umbrellas up. Now I can relax and enjoy seeing y'all again. But once again, there was a lot of hard work done by Rotarians in here, and I want to shout out to Bob Ham. He was chairman of the committee during that time. I just wanted to bring him. He was encouraged me during this process. So, but many of y'all helped on the process, Francesca and Terry. Thank y'all for the good, beautiful job y'all did out there. So I'm taking Brad's time, so I'm going to step away. But if you have any questions on them, just flag me down afterwards.
I had no less than 17, I was counting them, 17 people walk up to me and tell me what a fantastic ceremony that was, how well put together it was. The entire thing was put together by Francesca Benton. You did a beautiful job. You need to go into business for that. Our bylaws committee is going to meet at this table right here simply because nobody else is sitting there as soon as the lunch meeting is over. And we get to pack food boxes again today at the food bank, 5 o'clock or earlier if you like. And now Taylor Brown will introduce our program.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Brad. I've been knowing him a long time, and some things I know about him I can't repeat. But I'll start with just going over the bio. Brad is a lifelong resident of Shreveport. Graduated from Southwood High School in 1975 and graduated cum laude from Louisiana Tech in 1978 with a BS in civil engineering. He earned his MS in engineering management, also from Tech. Since first working as a draftsman while still in high school, Brad has been employed by Graff Smoke Engineering, Inc. for 43 years, where he now serves as a senior principal. He is licensed in civil, environmental, and mechanical engineering, as well as land surveying. He has also served on the Board of Governors of the American Council of Engineering Companies of Louisiana for 11 years, in capacities from chapter president to national director. Brad married Sally Ann Williamson, who he met while teaching scuba diving in an underwater ceremony at the Christ of the Deep statue in Key Largo, Florida. They have 2 adult daughters and 5 grandchildren. Brad has been an active member of the crew of Gemini since 1998, where he has served as Duke, King, and Captain, as well as chaired the parade, throws, treasury, and finance committees. He is a lifelong member of St. Matthias Episcopal Church and currently serves as lay Eucharistic minister and acolyte. Brad's hobbies include travel, fishing, and scuba diving. He is also an instrument-rated pilot. Brad began scuba diving in 1987 when he received his open water diver certification. He continues his dive training in an effort to provide a safer environment for those with whom he dove, and received his dive master certification in 1989 and his instructor certification in 1991. Having taught open water divers for many years, Brad fell to the allure of cave diving and became certified in basic cave diving in 2002. He has also conducted several underwater engineering inspections, including a local casino river boat and the Shreveport Amos plant water intake structure. Since his start in diving, Brad has logged over 1,000 open water dives and more than 120 cave dives. I ain't going with him. Brad Graff.
Thank you, Taylor. Taylor's a longtime friend, and he's also a past Gemini King, but he's also my CPA. And I figured if anybody would feel sorry enough to say something nice about me, it would be my CPA. So, no, seriously, thanks, Taylor, for taking time out for what I'm sure is the busiest day of the year for you. Before we get to the real good part of this presentation, which I think are the videos. I want to tell you a little bit about cave diving so you'll know something about what you're looking at in the videos. First of all, we'll talk about exactly what is cave diving when comparing it to open water diving and cavern diving. We'll also talk about the cave environment. And today I'm going to be talking about the cave environment of the caves in the Yucatan. Also, we'll talk about the special equipment that's needed to safely cave dive, the training that's involved, a few of the more critical rules that we follow to, again, cave dive safely, and then the videos. There's two of them that are a little less than 6 minutes apart in length. And I'm an engineer, so I can't speak like Liz did 2 weeks ago, and I definitely can't sing like Songbook South did last week. So I'm having to rely heavily on these videos, so thank God for video. What is cave diving? Compared to open water diving is just like the name implies. There's no overhead environment, and should you have a problem, you come to the surface. You can always make a direct ascent to the surface. In cavern diving, this is at basically the entrance to a cave system where you're still in sight of natural light coming through the shaft of the cave. And this classification stops at 200 horizontal feet into the cave. Also, there's a depth restriction for cavern diving of 70 feet. And then cave diving is everything else beyond 200 feet and sometimes deeper than 70 feet and beyond natural light. Some of these dives are a mile or more into the cave, and some of them last 3 to 4 hours. And there's several types of caves. There's the lava tubes. You can find these in Hawaii. There's coral caves, and just across the channel from the Yucatan, off the coast of Cozumel, there's quite a few coral caves there at a location called Punta Sur. And then there's solution caves, and that's what we find in the Yucatan, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. The Yucatan is composed of karst topography, which is basically a porous limestone. And being porous, you won't find any surface rivers or streams in the Yucatan. All the rivers are underground. And the only surface water that you will find are sinkholes, where these underground rivers, the roof has collapsed and formed a sinkhole. And the water in most of these locations is exposed, and they call them cenotes in Mexico. And because these are underground rivers, there's going to be a siphon or a downstream into the going from the cenote, and also coming into it will be the upstream. There's different amounts and different types of siltation inside the caves, depending mainly on whether it's downstream or upstream. In the downstream, you'll get a lot of siltation that flows out of the cenote itself, leaves and such, a lot of organics. The upstream side will be mostly particulate matter that comes off the roof of the cave. And then the formations. The formations that you'll find in these caves were formed eons ago, and I've been taught that they formed between the first and second ice age. You'll see stalactites where the mineral-rich liquid started dripping from the ceiling, and then the stalagmites where it hits the floor of the cave and starts to grow up. And over a period of time, over thousands of years, it hardens, and if the stalactite meets the stalagmites, it'll form a column. And some of these columns keep growing and they'll form what we call flows. And some of these flows form real, you'll see some in the video, they form real unusual shapes, and you'll see how some of them get their names. Some of the caves you'll see, one cave is somewhat dark, and that's because the water coming into it contains tannins, and the tannins stain the formation. And then in some of the caves, the water's more acidic. In these caves will be, all the formations will be pretty much bleach white. And that's more like the second video that we'll see. And then the configurations of the caves. Some of the caves have large chambers or rooms in them, approaching the size of the room we're in. Most of them, though, are made up of many arms, and these shafts or arms most of them you can get a car through, but in some cases they get down to what we call squeezes, and this is where you have to go through it single file, and in some cases take your tanks off and shove your tanks through the opening ahead of you. That's not a lot of fun, and it is somewhat unnerving. And then the depths. Everybody says, how deep are these caves? Well, they vary in deep. The majority of them, though, are between 25 and 45 feet deep. And in the sport of cave diving, 90 foot's considered deep, whereas 130 in open water is deep, but 90, you don't want to go much below 90 feet because of the threat of nitrogen narcosis, and you make so many critical decisions every corner that you turn in a cave that you don't want to be narked when you do so. And then at 35 feet in most of these caves, and it varies a little bit depending on how close to the coast you are, but a phenomenon called the halocline occurs. And this is where the fresh water that's on top meets the salt water that's on the bottom. And because of the difference in weight, the difference in temperature, it forms a finite layer, or finite interface between the two. And the waters refract light differently. And it gives you the impression, if you're above the halocline, it gives you the impression you're floating in the air and you're looking at an underwater river. It's a very surreal experience, and if you disturb that interface, it blurs up everything, and it's like you smoked something you shouldn't have. It's a real neat effect. And then the water, the temperatures, the fresh water is colder than the salt water. The fresh water is about 77 degrees at these caves in the Yucatan, and the salt water down below is 80 degrees. And that difference between 77 and 80 degrees feels like you're going into a sauna after you've been in these caves on, say, a 3-hour drive. You actually look forward to hitting the salt water. The visibility in most of the caves is about 100 feet plus, and it lessens with rainfall, especially in the siphon end of the cave. We're always asked what kind of animals are inside the caves. Well, actually very little, unless you take it with you. The native fish that are out in the cenotes, they've gotten smart over the years. They'll follow you and your light into the cave for these little shrimp. They go in there to have a little shrimp dinner. And if you hit the salt water, they can't go. They'll go crazy. So they stop there and wait. They've learned that cave divers go in and come out the same way. So they sit there in the pitch black while you're out deeper in the cave, and they'll follow you back out to the cenote after they dive. But they're shrimp, very small. There's a little centipede, they call it remipede, and then there's freshwater eels. There's not that many in the Yucatan. I haven't seen one or two, but down in the Florida caves, they're thick as thieves. They just get all over you. And then there's a blind cave fish, and it's basically, it looks just like an albino catfish. A little bit about the equipment. We use thermal protection, either a dry suit or a wetsuit with a hood. We use a low volume mask because your hands are typically busy and you want to be able to clear it without any trouble. And we use steel tanks, double steel tanks. We use steel tanks because you can pump those up to 3,500 as opposed to 3,000 pounds for an aluminum tank. We want every breath we can get. And then the regulators, we use 2 complete regulators, both with a first stage and a second stage. Most of your open water rigs will have 1 first stage and 2 second stages, but we have one of each. The primary is on a 5-foot hose, and that's so if your buddy breathing and have to go through a squeeze, your buddy can go through before you, and you can still be right behind his buddy breathing. Pressure gauge, buoyancy device. In cave diving we use what we call a wing rather.
Go. And for James Adams, what kind of coat is always wet when you put it on? Coat of paint. Very good. And this for our speaker. What do you get when you combine a scuba diver with a janitor?
No idea.
Jacques Custodian. Steve Aiken and Kermit Poling. Is Kermit here? No, Kermit. Steve Aiken will say our names.
Good. Tom Arsenault and I are going to do a duet. He said he wasn't going to come up here, but here he is. He has to do the prayer anyway, so he has to come up here. So. We'll do God Bless America because it's easy, we know it, and it's not goober peas. So, there you go. You ready? And God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. We're doing a show. I've got to take a call.
That was a different. You ready for me? Are you do pledge?
I'll wait. He got me all confused, Terry.
That's okay. It's quite all right. It's quite all right. Does anybody have an American flag on their lapel or anywhere on them? We don't have an American flag in the building. Anybody? You got one right here. Would you proudly hold that up?
I can put one on my cell phone.
I love it.
Here, Carol, you can have this one.
We're trying to-
There you go.
We
That's
have
pretty good,
an American
Greg.
flag. Would you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Tom Arsenault has our prayer.
Thank you. Lord, we thank you for the beauty of this day. We ask you to heal those who have been damaged and bring them quick restoration. Thank you for the goodness that you do in us. Thank you for your mercy and your justice. Thank you for this food. And please help us, Lord, to learn how best to help others through Rotary. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Tom. Lori Boswell will introduce our guests.
Welcome, Rotarians. We have a lot of guests today. Our own past president, Carol Barnes, is here. There she is. We have several guests from the Red River Club. Assistant Governor is here, FICO Kemp. There he is. Also from the Red River Club, we have Maggie Malone. And I saw Brad Perry coming in. There he is. Hey, Brad. I'm excited to say welcome to our next guest. David Ballou is here. Where is David? From South Shreveport. Paul Birch has a guest.
Today we have Corey Boyak, with Janet Boyak's son, and he is with the Boyak Printing and Graphics, and he's been here before.
Great to see you, Corey. Tom Arsenault has a guest.
I do. I have my wife Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth. Aneka has a guest.
Yes, I have a guest today. Her name is Kendra Wessel, and she's our new team member, graduate of Louisiana Tech University as all of us, and she takes care about our marketing and customer relationship. Please welcome her.
Welcome, Kendra. And Karen Johnson has a guest.
Let's see, I promised whoever it was that was taking up the scanning the badges, yes, I would say it. And this is, I thought your partner as a guest. This is Mary Winchell of Winchell and Joseph.
Are there any other guests here with us? We welcome you all and we hope you'll come back.
Thank you, Lori. As y'all know, donations to the Rotary Foundation are what enables us to get rid of polio. We're so close. Do water projects throughout the world. We have peace centers where people go and learn how to help encourage peace. These are at some universities throughout the world. Rotary sponsors this, and they actually help some of these people get placed in governments that seriously need help understanding what peace is. There's so many things that Rotary does throughout the world, and it's throughout the contributions that we make, no matter how small or how large. And of course, the big donations make a huge difference too. This year, we've had so many major donors recognized in our club, and today we get another one. Tom Arsenault. I know many of you don't know Tom Arsenault. We never get to see him, and he hasn't been in our club very long. Right? He has been a club director for 2002 to 2001, our club president 2007 to 8. He has been our Rotary District Foundation Chair for 2009 through 12. He's served on almost every committee that our club has and done a very good job of it. It's also why he's so good and so active in our club, because he's been so involved for a while. He was on the city council from 1982 to 1990. I wasn't even born yet. I wouldn't know that.
Lots of people were.
I know lots of people. Nobody in this room was born yet. He served as a community columnist for the Shreveport Times. He served on many community boards. I would read them all to you, but we do not have time this week. Without much further, Tom Arsenault.
Thank you, Terry. This is, I joined this club in 1994, and through what it tells you that if you're just kind of consistent with things, you can get to a goal. So Elizabeth and I are pleased to have reached the goal of being major donors to the Rotary Foundation, and we urge you to continue on your path. The great thing about doing this after you've become a Paul Harris Fellow is you get the opportunity to honor other people. Elizabeth is a Paul Harris Fellow, our children are Paul Harris Fellows, and that was all part of this process of becoming a major donor. I had the privilege to sponsor as Paul Harris Fellow several of you in this room, and that's something I'm greatly proud of, because I'm proud of you. So thank you very much for the recognition. We're glad to be part of the Rotary family and are very, very glad to be part of this Rotary Club.
When you become a Paul Harris Fellow, you receive this crystal that has your names on it. It's gorgeous. There you go. You also get a pin on your lapel. You'll see a number of people. Carol Barnes has one around her neck. So Tom, here's a pin for you. Elizabeth, a pendant for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate not only what you do for our club, but what you do for Rotary International. Thank you so much. And thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. Congratulations. That's the best part about being president. Best part. For those of you that I said look a little windblown, the others may not know a whole lot about that, so Mark Snow's going to come and tell us a little bit about that. One giant step from behind. Two steps over there.
That's nothing compared to getting umbrellas put on the riverfront. For those of you that were out there today, we had some beautiful weather, a little bit windy, but it was a beautiful weather for the dedication of our 3 Bird Air umbrellas. I hope you go by there if you've not seen them yet. They're a matching trio that match the amphitheater that was put out there about a year ago. They're 17 feet in diameter and 11 feet high. The mayor was there today to help us to receive the gift of our donation for the centennial year. And we were very proud to give to the city. Not only are these umbrellas beautiful, they're functional. They're going to serve to protect people from wind and rain as they wait either to go to the aquarium or for those mothers and dads that have to watch their kids out there in Riverview Park. And then during the, when the amphitheater's in use, they also will serve for that. For many years to come, these umbrellas are going to be a monument to the 100th anniversary of our club. There's a beautiful plaque out there Francesca had cast, and I want to go by there and see it and read it. Don't look at the date on there, but the mayor was very appreciative of that, and it's totally because of y'all's work and your money that you put towards Rotary. There's one more thing I want to say about it, but I do want to thank Kristen Brown and Brown Builders. They helped me in getting those installed. They were the contractor that actually put the foundations in. They helped install them. And so Kristen had to go take care of a sick child, but I want, when you see her, thank her for her generous donation of a warehouse for a few years, and then